So with your strings, if you bought them new, you're gonna have to pay attention to the packaging to see which color ball at the end of each string corresponds to which note. So in this situation, the gold ball at the end would mean that it is my low E string. So again, pay attention to your specific strings and packaging. So you're just going to simply put this back into the corresponding hole in the saddle. And you don't have to put it all the way in, but you also shouldn't just put the very tip in like this, because we want to be able to get the entire bridge pin in. Okay, so once you have it in a good few inches, then you can put the bridge pin back in, and you can press pretty snug with your thumb, and you'll feel the plastic kind of settle in. And then I'm going to pull the string so that it gets, the ball basically gets pinned at the very bottom of that piece of plastic. If you don't do this, you'll spend a long time winding up here in the headstock and wondering why it keeps spitting out more line down here. So this is always a good tip to do in the beginning. So I'm going to pull this, and you'll kind of either hear and or feel that bead at the end of the string coming into place. Boom. That was it. It didn't take very much. Okay. So again, make sure that this is sort of snug, because the bridge pin will kind of pop out from time to time if it isn't really in there good until you get things settled. So now is the easy part. You're just going to feed the string up through the corresponding channel. Make sure that at the nut here you're putting it right into the groove that was already there. And now I like to line up the hole in the tuning machine so that you're basically threading it up through straight. It just takes any angle off of the situation for now and simplifies things. Okay, so now the string is all the way up through. Everything looks good. I know this is kind of hard to see with the headstock being crowded, but the method of locking the string is a very simple process. Once you have the string all the way up through, you're going to want enough slack here to wind onto the headstock. I always like to say, if you can put your hand under here, you have about this much space. This will give you enough slack to wind up here to make things, just to give you a little bit of a safety zone in case you had to detune for some reason. You wouldn't run out of string. So now, locking the string. We're straight through here. Now, on these three strings, we would fold inside this way. On these three strings, obviously inside means something else. So the method goes, fold the string and bend it, because it will kind of stay in place, inside, okay? Inside the headstock. Now, you're going to fold it underneath like so. And hopefully you'll have a lot more line on there if you have new strings. It's a lot harder with old ones. Okay, so inside, underneath the string, and then here's the trick. Back over top, like this. Okay, so we went inside, underneath, fold back over. Now again, I have a pitiful amount of string here, but we're going to try to lock it, which will start to happen if you slowly start to tune. And it's going to sound horrible, but that's okay. And the hardest part about this is making sure that everything is taut as you're tuning the peg. The string's going to want to dance around here, and that's okay. We really want to make sure things are tightly wound around the tuning machine. Okay, so once you've got about a full revolution, this will be locked in place. This is not going anywhere. Okay, that was why we did that. Otherwise, the string is going to be slipping around up here. You can't just wind it up and then hope to curl it around here. You're going to end up with a broken slinky. Okay, so we have our string locked up here, but there's still no pitch because we're super loose, right? Now is when I would come back here and put your thumb on the bridge pin just to make sure that it doesn't come flying up once you start to tune it into pitch. Again, I would almost require or ask that you wear safety goggles while you're doing this, because if you haven't done it before, there could be some trajectories or projectiles flying Gotcha. Okay, anyways, bringing this back, remember, you should be, the string should be turning from inside out, okay, as you tune, so as to stay out of the way of these other strings. So, it won't be long before you'll start to hear a pitch, okay? And the whole point here is you just want to make sure that this is not moving anywhere and that you have a pitch. This is actually almost too high for where it needs to be, but I don't like to move exactly to where the pitch is as soon as I string the guitar. The strings are going to need time to sort of, especially if they're new ones, are going to need time to move around and sort of stretch out and make adjustments to themselves. And then I would come back after things have settled and then retune the entire guitar. So that is, in a nutshell, how to change at least the low E string and lock the string in place. Okay, I know that there are a lot of supplemental videos out there on the internet, but there's most of the things that I wanted to cover were just that. And then one other thing I would want to take into consideration is don't ever take all the strings off at once. I would replace one string at a time, and that is because the neck of the instrument could end up warping because it is so used to having a certain amount of pressure holding the neck sort of in place that if you take all the strings off at once, much like the sound post in a traditional string instrument, you could risk having that sort of move around. So we don't want the neck to make any movements, unnecessary movements, and become warped. So I like to change one string at a time. All right? Hang in there, folks. Take care.